Hey folks, this is Jake Davis with a wrestling recap for you. I haven't done one of these since August. I was doing them for about 2.5 years. But then I got burned out, got kind of sick of the direction both companies were going, AEW and WWE at the time. But hey, that was 8 months ago. I still have no intention of going back and doing every single one of these shows. But this weekend was WrestleMania. This was the big deal. It's a two-night event, so I decided to cover all in one thing. So I'm just going to talk about the Hall of Fame, which was nice, or the Stand and Deliver Takeover show that happened Saturday afternoon. It was very entertaining. A lot of good matches on there, especially that North American ladder match. But there were 16 matches between the two nights of WrestleMania. So let's get right into them. Our first night in, of course, Dallas, Texas, in front of what was roughly rounded up to about 78,000 people the first night and 79,000 people the second night in the AT&T Stadium. Yeah. Our opening match are the Usos defending the SmackDown Tag Team Championships against Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs, who the Boogs and Nakamura had this Mike's Hard Lemonade, I guess, sponsored their costumes. It was silly. This match, unfortunately, doesn't really get a chance to get going. We get a early hot tag from Boogs, who tries to get both Usos up into a fireman's carry, but his right knee blows out, and legit, guess he tore his patella, and, muscle in his kneecap. That's a damn shame. So they rush through a finishing sequence. Shinsuke's ever to fight out of the super kick, big splash combo, but then the Usos hit the 3D. Jay covers, and the Usos retain the SmackDown Tag Team Championships in an opening match at WrestleMania. Up next, Drew McIntyre taking on Happy Corbin. Happy Corbin has been on a winning streak since hitting it big in Vegas. Happy Barry Corbin, that is, at SummerSlam. And on New Year's Day, he tried to break Drew McIntyre's neck. McIntyre came back at the Royal Rumble, and he's been looking for blood ever since. I actually think this was probably the one match on the whole show which was definitely a foregone conclusion. It was probably closer than it should have been, but it had some cool spots. It had Madcap Moss, who won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal on SmackDown. He jumps up on the apron, inadvertently causes a distraction for Corbin at one point in the match. So I think between those two things and Corbin losing, the seeds for a possible face turn for Madcap, even though who wants that, honestly. Corbin kicks out of the end of days, I believe the first time that's ever happened. Eventually misses the first Claymore, but hits the second Claymore beautifully, wins the match, and afterwards grabs his big sword, Angela, and cuts down the top two ring ropes, chasing off old Madcap. That part was fun. Up next is our first of 3 celebrity special attraction matches. Well, 5 if you count the title matches. It is the Mysterios, Los Misteriosos. Rey Mysterio Jr. and his and his son Dominic taking on the team of The Miz and Logan Paul. Look, man, everybody hates Logan Paul, but Logan Paul did a great job last year just coming out, getting some heat, and taking a stunner from Owens. This year he puts up a good match. I particularly loved a lot of the interactions between Dominic and Paul. Tell these two guys definitely had something to prove, and we're feeding off of each other with that. Logan Paul definitely knew how to work the crowd to get some heat. Eventually he does eat back 2 619 from both Ray and Dominic. But Miz is there to break it up. Miz hits the skull-crushing finale on Ray Jr., and the heels win. Immediately after the match, while still having their hands raised, Miz turns on Logan Paul, hits a skull-crushing finale on him to a great ovation. And yeah, fuck Logan Paul. Look, I don't give a shit how good Bad Bunny was in the ring. You know, good for him. He got in the ring and took the physicalness of it seriously. But this poodle-headed motherfucker walked around for like 4 months on Raw, putting no one over, constantly getting the best of former world champions, former tag team champions, got to be a champion, didn't even drop it to get pinned. I hate it because he has to be, we don't want to ruin his reputation. He's a real tough guy. You can tell because he's a rapper. This goddamn poodle. I fucking hated Bad Bunny. I'll take Logan Paul at WrestleMania every year over ever having to see Bad Bunny on Monday Night Raw again. I'm serious. I hated Bad Bunny. Logan Paul's obnoxious too, but it wasn't all about Logan Paul. And Logan Paul took some bumps, got his ass beat, made to look like a fool on someone else's field. Still not a boxer though. Up next is a match that's been building since SummerSlam. Bianca Belair finally gets her hands on the Raw Women's Champion, Becky Lynch. Bianca got this great entrance. She's played to the ring by a big marching band. It was really great. Becky got her whole post-apocalyptic intergalactic sex goddess look going. I don't know how much she looked awesome. They have a great match. I personally think this was the best match of the entire weekend. I mean, at least best match of WrestleMania. That ladder match at Stand Deliver was something. But this was high stakes, high build. The crowd was white hot. The right person won. Becky kept going for the manhandle slam. Got it early in the match, but a 2 count. Kept going for the disarmer, but just couldn't get. Finally, Bianca hits the KOD. 1, 2, 3. Back-to-back years walking out of WrestleMania as a women's champion. She has now beaten Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Becky Lynch on pay-per-view. I hope she beats Charlotte's ass one day. But yes, terrific match. Up next is probably the match I was most looking forward to all weekend. Seth Rollins' mystery opponent for a full month. He has been since the Royal Rumble, been scratching and crawling, trying to find a way for a path to him to get WrestleMania. Vince McMahon says, I will handpick an opponent for you. Who it's going to be. Everybody had their prediction, their obvious prediction. It was too obvious. It was too great. It was too wonderful. Be prepared for Shane McMahon. Be prepared for Goldberg or John Cena. Get ready for something like, to be Veer's big comeback, or even the Great Khali. If you prepare for the worst, you know something's bad going to happen. You're going to be happy when something good happens. But no, he gets out there and you hear the announcement. There's more than one royal family in wrestling. Damn. Cody comes out. Crowd is insane. The crowd never lets up. Never lets up. These guys have a hell of a good match. Fast pace, high impact, very spotty. Just the kind of match you expect from these two guys. Eventually, Cody hits the crossroads, takes 4 of them, has to hit 4 of them on Seth Rollins, but he hits them, and Cody Rhodes wins his big debut return match. I think this match, they probably went longer than they were supposed to be, certainly felt like it. But hell, when you got a match that good, you can go as long as you want. And also, I think Cody was trying to get Seth to bleed him hard way in this match, and it just wasn't taken. By the end of the match, his eyebrow and forehead right here is just all welted up from all the stiff right hand set. They're trying to bleed hard way, it just wasn't taken, like I said. Pause. Up next is the SmackDown Women's Championship. Charlotte Flair defends against the Women's Royal Rumble winner, Ronda Rousey. This match, the build of this was kind of silly, but, this seems like a match that Vince McMahon just wanted to see. They had a terrific match at Survivor Series 2018, but, I wasn't really much caring going into this. I thought they had a decent match, man. I enjoyed the match. Girls seemed to be able to work real good together. They did some innovative spots. I liked the arm drag off the top rope. It looked really fucking cool. Finish comes what was it? I'm trying to remember. Now I'm kind of blanking. I think Charlotte tapped at one point and the ref didn't see it. But then Ronda hits her Piper's Pit. And there's the ref counts 1, 2, 3, but instantly waves it off because he sees Charlotte's foot is in the rope. Ronda Rousey is arguing with the referee, not even to her feet yet. And then out of nowhere, Charlotte hits the natural selection and pins Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. Ronda Rousey is now 1-2 in her 3 WrestleMania outings. Well, I expected that. But yeah, Charlotte wins. And, I kind of understand keeping the belt on Charlotte because I don't really see Ronda staying around for a long time right now. and also kind of also seeing how thin the roster is getting right now. I think they need to unify the women's titles and the tag titles anyways. So a potential potential Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair unification title match down the line, maybe at Backlash, maybe at SummerSlam. I think this could be the right way to go. And the same thing with the tag titles with the Usos, between the Usos and the winners of the match coming up later. Time for night one main event segment. KO, Kevin Owens, comes to the ring. He's going to introduce Stone Cold. Stone Cold's hometown, but Owens been talking lots of shit about Texas going into this, and you just don't do that about Texas to people from Texas while you are in Texas. It will get you hurt. So he comes out there. Austin comes out to an ovation only Steve Austin can get, and only in the state of Texas. It was huge. He's got his horse, his four-wheeler. He gets to the ring, and they talk for a few minutes, a couple of jabs back and forth, some, banter. And then Owens just comes out with it. He's like, I didn't call out Stone Cold Steve Austin in Texas at WrestleMania to have a conversation with you. I'm looking for a fight. Me and you, right now, no holds barred. What do you say? And Austin's, bring me a goddamn referee. Now, I was in shock. Now, there's a lot of talk about this going in, but I'm just like, look, man, I talked about before, Austin did not need to get back in the ring. He barely survived that final match. I mean, the fact that he got through that match without embarrassing himself or hurting himself any further, with the ability to walk, and has lived another 20 years. The Lord's looking out for you, Steve. Don't push it. But, I mean, yeah, they get to this, and, oh my God, it's a match. Every bump Steve took, I mean, he didn't take too many of them, There's a lot of it was just walking back and forth, standing and punching back and forth. When we got through in the barricade, got thrown into the ring post, got suplexed on the concrete fucking floor. Every time, I just full body cringe. I was so worried about Steve. He eats a stunner, kicks out, hits the stunner, and beats Kevin Owens. This is one of my favorite WrestleMania moments ever. Wow. I mean, the show goes off the air with Austin celebrating with the fans, having some beers. They didn't even need night two. But here we go, night two. I'll pause real quick. So here we are, night two. And I said I was just going to talk about the matches, but I got to take a moment to mention Triple H at the beginning of the show, walking out to the ring, thanking everybody for their years of support, and leaving his boots in the ring. I know a lot of people hate him, and even during the Reign of Terror, yeah, I got sick of him too, but I've always been a huge, huge fan of Triple H. I think he's one of the most reliable main eventers WWE has ever had, and just him being involved in a match or being on a card makes it a bigger show. I always felt he was one of those kind of stars. I really did. Opening match for night two. Triple threat match for the Raw Tag Team Championships. RK Bro, Orton and Riddle, taking on the Alpha Academy, Matt Gable and Otis. Chad Gable and Otis, sorry. And the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. Dawkins and Ford kind of played tweener going into this match, but they're not really heels at this point. This is so fast, so good. All three of these guys are terrific. Turns into a big brawl very quick. Lots of high spots, lots of big jumps. The finish comes where Ford is on the top rope, about to go for his frog splash, but Matt Riddle springboards up there and hits him with an RKO off the top rope. And just seconds later, Chad Gable's jumping off the top rope to jump on one of them, and Orton catches him out of nowhere with the RKO, and they win and retain the titles. Orton gets busted open at some point in this match, too. I missed where. After the match, Street Profits and RKO are celebrating. They bring in Gable Steveson, who won the Olympic gold medal last year and signed with WWE. They definitely want to build him up as the next Mark Henry, the next Kurt Angle. Of course. And while he's going to celebrate with him, of course, Chad Gable gets in his face and he gets suplexed forward. It was fun. Up next is Bobby Lashley versus Omos. I hate to say it, but who's the biggest? Who's the baddest? Who's the blackest? This was a fun match, man. It felt like Popeye taking on a Bluto. I mean, yeah, Omos can't really bump, but when that moment came, man, he took a suplex and then 2 spears and big boy go boom. Bobby Lashley, big, bad Bobby Lashley. How can you not love him? Fuck yeah. You have to put the belt back on him, man. Put a belt on the man. Oh, I love Bobby Lashley. All right, up next. Anything goes match. Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn. Boy. I love this match, but Sami should have won. I mean, Johnny Knoxville, lots of shenanigans. Chris Pontius gets involved, gets the shit beat out of him. Wee Man gets involved, gets the shit beat out of him. Johnny Knoxville, of course, gets his ass beat. And they use tables and crutches and trash cans and fire extinguisher and a taser. And holy shit, man. And falls to a table covered with mouse traps. And then the finish is he brings out a gigantic cartoon mouse trap, triggers it, hits himself in triggering it because the whole thing doesn't work, and uses the mouse trap to pin down Johnny Knoxville. I mean, Sami should have won. And, well, they're probably going to put the IC title back on him pretty soon. But, I mean, Sami should have won this. It was really weird, but I can't not say I didn't love it. I laughed my ass off this whole time. It was like, you remember the cartoon where Bugs Bunny fights the wrestler and the boxer? It was like that. They did that for a wrestling match, and I can't badmouth it. Up next is the Fatal 4-Way for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, because WWE have more than one women's tag titles, sweet lord. It's the champions, Carmella and Queen Zelina, defending against Sasha Banks and Naomi, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, and the team of Natalya Neidhart and Shayna Baszler. And if you're sitting there thinking none of those are actual tag teams, you're right. I mean, truth is, all these girls are really good. I think probably the least impressive in the ring is, of course, Liv. And, well, she's getting better every month. She's really trying to apply herself to everything, and we got to champion her for that. I thought these girls did a pretty good fast-paced match. Enjoyed it. Didn't go too long. And the right girls won. Naomi and Sasha hit like this elevated double-team code breaker on Carmella. Sasha gets the pin. And not only is Sasha Banks once again a women's tag champion, but finally gets a win at WrestleMania, man. She ain't missed WrestleMania since she made the main roster in 2015, and this is her first fucking win at WrestleMania. It's crazy. But yeah, good for her. There's a happy moment there. Up next, to me, honestly, is where the show started to turn a little. Not that it got bad, but this is the second half of the show, to me, is mainly why Night 1 was superior. We get Edge versus AJ Styles, bonafide dream match. Edge goes full psycho, old school Edge in this match. Going into it, they've been attacking each other. Mind games getting very personal. Edge has this huge opening where he comes out of a flaming throne, like fucking Slipknot choreographed this shit. It was great. AJ Styles walking to the ring, bleeding from his cheek. And this is like never. What the hell, man? Was he in the backstage punching himself, trying to get psyched up? It's the only thing I can think of. But considering who's in it, the stakes, the anticipation, it just never really felt like it got out of second gear. The guys, I mean, they had a good match. It was a good work match. It was a smart match, but it never really picked up the pace. And then the finish being AJ hasn't won, and AJ hasn't won with the phenomenal forearm, but before he can go for it, he sees Damian Priest at ringside, gets distracted, goes for the forearm, and gets caught with a spear out of midair. Edge wins. And after the match, Edge and Priest celebrate. Now, I've always said, Edge, if I were to say who are the greatest tag team individuals of all time, individual tag team wrestlers ever, Edge be high. high on my list. Very, very high. If not my number one. To tell you the truth, my number one, I kind of halfway got to lean towards Billy Gunn. He's the greatest tag team wrestler of all time, tell you the truth. But Edge, Billy Gunn, Booker T, Michael Hayes, Bobby Eaton, these guys are great masters at tag team wrestling. The Miz is up there too with him, man. And this was just, like I said, unfortunately just didn't get out of, never really picked up the pace, never really got to a proper, emotional, thrilling, satisfactory crescendo. You know what I mean? But yes, if Edge is going to be a mentor and a mouthpiece for Damian Priest, this could be good. If Edge and Damian Priest are now going to be a tag team wreaking havoc on Monday Night Raw, that could be much better. Pause this real fast. Well, where did I leave off? Oh, yeah. So, the New Day is up next. Tag team match was supposed to happen on night one, but got pushed back to night two, which is another reason why I think Rollins and Cody went long. So, first off, King Woods and Kofi come out, both dressed like Big E. Wearing his kind of gear, his robe, got their hair back. Homage to him to even do the fletch pose. Jesus. And, this probably should have been a sits man. Probably planned to be a sits man. But I think with Big E getting hurt, that caused a bummer. And by keeping Ridge Holland in the match, who's the green guy who was kind of responsible for hurting Big E, and taking out fucking Pete Dunne, who's great, I just wasn't looking forward to this. And then the match happens, and there's, it goes entrances, match, post-match, 5 minutes, tops 5 minutes. Ridge Holland hits his, I don't know if it's a lazy brainbuster or a lazy jackhammer, but it's a stupid-looking finisher. He hits it on Woods, I think it was, and they win. The New Day win. The New Day fucking lose this match. No one gives a shit about Ridge Holland. He's not going to be a star. They need to call this... I like the idea of Sheamus leading this group of brutish, European, Celtic badasses calling themselves the Fight Club is what they should. But, man, look what they've done to Pete Dunne. First off, they changed his name to Butch, and, there's homoerotic connotations all around that. And then they got him dressed like an extra in the fucking Newsies. Fuck that. Oh, this match kind of pissed me off. I think pissed the crowd off, too. But we got 2 matches left, and one of the matches I was most looking forward to this weekend. Austin Theory versus Pat Mcavee in our semi-main event. Well, McMahon comes out to ringside to be at Austin Theory's corner. And then Pat comes out, flanked by the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, being played to the ring by Seven Nation Army. That's fucking badass. Well, they have a pretty good match. Both guys are very, very athletic. Best spot is Pat Mcavee does his... they're both on top rope. Austin pushes him off the top rope. Pat does a full backflip, lands on his feet, then jumps straight up to the top rope, Shelton Benjamin style, and does a superplex. Thing of beauty. Absolute beauty. Austin Theory goes for his brainbuster over the knee finish. McAfee slides behind him. Schoolboy handful of tights, and Pat wins a fairly short but very jumpy match. After the match, they're leaving. McMahon's talking shit, Pat and shit talking shit, and all of a sudden McMahon starts taking off his shirt and his tie and his coat, and what the fuck's happening? And he's getting in the ring, and ref goes, what's happening? A match starts, and now Pat McAfee is fighting 76-year-old Vince McMahon. What the hell? Austin Theory clotheslines, axe hammers, Pat from behind before right at the match. Vince hits a couple of clotheslines. Pat sells him like he's fucking Kurt Hennig, and Vince makes the cover. What? And while these two douchebags are celebrating, Stone Cold hits the ring for another massive pop. Hits a stunner on Austin Theory, who maybe has dethroned The Rock for the greatest sell of a stunner ever. hits a stunner on McMahon, which looked like McMahon's entire spinal cord crumbled trying to take that move. And then hits a great stunner on Pat. And it's great. While he's also celebrating in the ring, they cut to Pat on the floor, still selling the stunner, knocked out, but drinking a Steve Wedge. It was so fucking weird, but it was funny as hell. Almost done. And main event time, the WWE Champion Brock Lesnar versus the Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Winner take all. Well, if you've seen Brock and Roman fight once, you've seen it. You've seen all of them. It's just 10 minutes of these two guys hitting each other really hard, trading each other's finishers. Roman gets in a Kimura lock. I guess Brock gets in a Kimura lock. Roman gets to the ropes. Roman hits one more spear, and it's over. Roman is the undisputed WWE World Heavyweight Universal Champion of the galaxy. And yeah, man, 1 year, 8 months as champion and counting. I hope he never loses it, to tell you the truth. This is the first time since Hogan. Actually, this is the only time since Hogan that a world champion, other than Hogan, actually, that a world champion has walked out of WrestleMania successfully defending the title 2 years in a row in a single reign. Roman Reigns is the best. I don't want him ever lose the belt. Ever. So, I think night one was superior because of both the Cody pop and the Austin pop surprises. That on top of the feel-good win for Bianca, and the fact of it being night one, the crowd was much, much more wired, was made a better show. Night two was great. But I think between the Edge and AJ being a bit of a disappointment, and then the New Day losing kind of pissed off the crowd, they seemed to really enjoy the last two matches. But yeah, I thought the second half of WrestleMania, night two, could have been better. Or probably should have been better. But, you can't plan for injuries. And I really think that's what happened with Roman and Brock. That Brock looked like his elbow was turning red and swelling up. And Roman looked like his fucking shoulder was dislocated. So I don't know the official reports here, but I'm pretty sure those two were, at least one of them. I think Roman was legit injured, actually. I think I may have saw something about that. Anyhow, I thought this was a phenomenal WrestleMania. I think it's the best WrestleMania they've done since they've done the 2 nights, and they keep it up to this kind of quality. This 2-night WrestleMania could work. WrestleMania 2039 will be in Hollywood, California, in the SoFi Stadium. Yeah, man. Already looking forward to it. Countdown to days. Love me some WrestleMania, man. I'm Jake Davis, and I'll catch you on the fly. By the way, I'll give the overall event an A-, because really it's not until, 6.5 hours into the show as an overall thing that it starts to slow down as far as excitement and boom. If they would have done that as a single night, the crowd would have been burnt out long before. They would have been burnt out after Austin. Everybody would have been ready to go home. Anyhow, I'm Jake Davis, and I'll catch you on the fly.